Am I the a-hole for allowing my brother-in-law to be thrown out of my house on Christmas after he insulted my brother who has Down syndrome? Trigger warnings. Discrimination against disabilities, favoritism, mentions of domestic violence, ableism. My hubby M40 and I F35 have been together 10 years, married for 5. We bought a fixer-upper 2 years ago and finally completed upgrades and repairs just in time to host Christmas. Both sides of the family came. My parents, my brother Frank M30, and his girlfriend now fiancée Lila, F29, and my hubby's parents and his brother Todd M32. Since it's relevant, I'll mention that my brother Frank has Down syndrome. He also graduated from HS in college, he has his BA in early childhood education, he also has his own apartment and his own car. He works full-time as a preschool teacher, and his job loves him. I have freaking amazing parents, and when Frankie was born, their attitude was, "You'll do as much as you're encouraged to do." And we all invested heavily in helping Frank be all he can be. Which is a lot. I never felt left out or forgotten by my folks, by the way. They worked really hard to make sure we both had a great childhood. My hubby and Frank are total brothers, lol. Frank was his best man in our wedding, and after being friends with Frankie for a few years, he switched his job as a HS English teacher to a special education teacher. It required some extra schooling, but my dude loves his job so much now and he's so happy. So obviously, Frank is popular in the family. At the party, I knew my hubby and Frank were up to something, because they were whispering a lot and grinning. Right before dessert, Frank stood up and talked about how this year has been the best of his life. He said he wished he could keep his life this way forever. My hubby pipes up with, "If you like it then you better put a ring on it," and toss Frank a ring box. He got down on one knee and asked Lila to marry him. She of course said heck yes. It was so touching and honestly everyone was crying and hugging and so excited. I noticed my brother-in-law Todd wasn't smiling and looked pretty irritated. Todd is single, probably because he enjoys Andrew Tate so much, and he and my hubby have never been close. When we all stopped hugging and sat down, Todd muttered finally under his breath. Everyone heard it through because he absolutely meant us to. I asked if there was a problem. He said, and I quote, "I'm not that interested in celebrating two retarded people pretending they can have a real life." I almost caught a charge because I about punched him. Frank just laughed at him and asked, "Still single, huh?" Which made everyone laugh. Todd stepped towards him and my hubby told him to sit down and shut up. He also told him he's an embarrassment. Todd got mad and told my hubby that the embarrassment was how he pretended that Frank and Lila are actually functioning adults. At that, my hubby stood up, yanked Todd's chair out, and told him to get the hell out of our house. He told him he didn't want to see his face or hear his voice until he sincerely apologized to Frank and Lila. Todd started to refuse to leave, so I got my phone out and told him I was calling the cops to escort him out if he refused to leave on his own. He's been in Dutch with the cops a few times for drunk and disorderly assault, so that got him to peel out quickly. Hubby's parents were clearly embarrassed by Todd's behavior, and they left a few minutes later, after apologizing to Frank and Lila. We told them they were more than welcome to stay, but they left anyhow. This morning I woke up to a bunch of texts from Todd, demanding I talk to my hubby and fix this. I told him no and blocked him. Then my mother-in-law called and asked me to talk to hubby. I was kind about it, but I said no. I told her it's between hubby and Todd, and I respected my husband's feelings. She got upset and said that her family is getting torn apart and I'm allowing it. I told her again I was sorry, but that Todd is totally responsible for this, and she needed to take it up with him. She hung up crying. I still don't think hubby and I were wrong here at all, but I truly like my ML and those tears definitely got to me. But I refuse to let my brother and best friend be abused in my home. Additional information from OP. My mother-in-law has called twice, begging me to interfere and force a discussion. Her tears break my heart, but Todd is just so shitty. I'm honestly relieved that I might never have to deal with him again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. And your brother-in-law sure has his mom wrapped around his little finger though. Embarrassing for her, I'm sure. But do not even fleetingly consider getting on team coddle Todd. Make no mistake. This is not just about your brother being insulted. It's also about trying to trick you into participating in that insult through minimizing and peacemaking. Curious to know whether Todd and their mom called your husband directly first, because if not, that's a double black mark against his family, and may explain why your husband was so immediate in his willingness to call Todd out at the time. He might have been annoyed by this dynamic often over the years. Oopie. Nope, they just called me because I'm a known soft touch. My hubby has zero patience with their nonsense. Todd is definitely the golden child, but I sense they realize they bet on the wrong horse, so to speak. Commenter 2. Your brother-in-law is a jerk because your mother-in-law enables it. Frank sounds hilarious. Oopie. Frank is the smartass to end all smartasses. He is hysterical. What is so cool about my brother is that he can gently poke like that without being mean or ugly. I love him so much, honestly. I feel like getting him for a brother was the best gift the universe ever gave me. Commenter 3. You are NTA. Is your mother-in-law asking Todd to apologize? Oopie. I can't imagine she has. When he got a DV charge for slapping his ex-fiancée, his mom blamed her for being difficult. We spend very little time with my in-laws. I suspect there's going to be even less now. Commenter 4. You said that you truly like your mother-in-law. Why? She excused DV and ableism. She is not a good person. Why do you feel bad for her? Because she cried? Is crying enough to excuse her behavior? You're NTA for not helping excuse his actions, but I am wondering why you think your mother-in-law is so great. Oopie. Excellent question. She's always been controlling, but she's sweet and delicate about it, if that makes sense. My husband kept our contact minimal so I'd see her on her best behavior. The only time I didn't was when Todd got arrested and she blamed the woman he slapped. She's difficult and it was just a slap. We didn't see them for almost 2 years after that, until father-in-law developed cancer. Mother-in-law knew how grossed out we were about her defending Todd, and she apologized profusely, saying she was wrong and that Todd knows she was ashamed of him. My hubby called her apology a load of crap later, but I bought it, I guess. Probably because in my family, if someone apologized, they meant it. But when father-in-law got sick, we reconnected and now here we are. Let me assure you though, my tolerance for her is gone for good. I feel like an idiot for falling for it at all. Update. Todd is on Reddit and loves the Ida group. He talked about it at Christmas. That's pretty much why I posted this. He saw this and my mother-in-law called and asked me to remove it. I said no. She says that this is mean. I told her Todd is meaner and I'm done. I told her the post stays up and that I'm never asking hubby to meet with them again. I am TA, I know, for encouraging my hubby to have contact with them, and I've apologized. Frank's opinion on all this is that he hasn't wasted time on asses in the past and he's not starting now. I apologize to him too for inviting my idiot brother-in-law in the first place. Lila is as snarky as Frank and she told me no cake for him. Oh, she's the best. I'm MOH, so I'm working hard to come up with ways to make this proposal nonsense up to her. Someone said this couldn't be true because no one would act like we did after Todd's comment. My response is that you don't know Frank. I think you suspect he's childish and throws fits when he's upset. You couldn't be more wrong. His stated attitude about people like Todd is that he refuses to act stupid just because someone else chooses to. As for everything else, yes, my hubs is the best. I had a ridiculously privileged childhood and I know that and am grateful.